Joe Biden is set to designate the Houthis in Yemen as a terrorist organization. The Houthis in Yemen are officially known as the Ansar Allah, and they control the capital and govern over 80% of the population. They are the formally recognized government of Yemen. So Genocide Joe and his entire batshit crazy administration just put a whole ass country on the terrorist list because Yemen is the only country that is following their obligation laid out by the Genocide Convention. The Genocide Convention states that anyone who helps enable a genocide, including private entities, is fair target. So according to the United States and UK, the Ansar Allah are evil because they're implementing a blockade to oppose a genocide. Also, the United States wants to take an anti-blockade position. You sure you want to have that conversation? The United States has implemented a blockade on Cuba for decades, not because they implemented a genocide, but because Cuba chose a different financial and economic system than them. But people in the West think they have the right to condemn the brave warriors of Yemen? So the cowardly Israelis who bomb hospitals and target children, according to the United States, they're not terrorists. According to the United States, the KKK is not a terrorist organization. There are over 3 million signatures on change.org that have been begging our government to label the KKK as a terrorist organization, and they still refuse to. So the KKK, not terrorists. The people who oppose genocide as their legal duty, they are terrorists, according to this country. If you are not careful, the media will have you hate the people that are being oppressed while loving the people who are doing the oppressing. Lula in Brazil, some of the most influential leaders in this hemisphere, they condemn the Cuban embargo. They've been pressuring the United States using every single peaceful way to resist the embargo on Cuba. No avail. So based on your guys' argument, or if you guys think the Ansar Allah are a terrorist because they implement a blockade, which is done in a legal fashion, as I explained, because they're resisting genocide, what kind of insane society would list those people as terrorists? The people that actually implement a blockade to pressure a terrorist country. Because, once again, how are you guys defining terrorism? By killing people? Waging war? Who waged more war than the United States and Israel? Who killed more people than Israel? Israel is normalizing the idea of targeting journalists, UN workers, and bombing hospitals. Bombing hospitals was considered the worst taboo that you can do. When the Obama administration accidentally bombed a hospital, which I never let them live down, no anti-imperialist should ever let them live down, they had to go on a global apology tour. It's something they had to acknowledge, that something that was a mistake and horrible that happened. Now Israel normalized hospitals as a target of war. Meanwhile, majority of white America are cheering it on in both parties. Let's see how Fox News covering it. We got a lot of coverage.
Expected to redesignate the Iranian-backed Houthis as a terrorist organization. This after the group's attacks on shipping vessels that goes unabated. And Griff Jenkins is watching that from the Pentagon. Griff, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Bill. And the Biden administration says they've been reconsidering for months their decision early on in February of 2021 for humanitarian reasons to remove the Houthis from the Foreign Terrorist Organization, or FTO, designation. Now, after 5 attacks by the Houthis in as many days on commercial ships in the Red Sea, including a U.S.-owned vessel, they're poised to put the Iran-backed rebels back on that list. But, Bill, it's not likely that...
You guys see how they keep using the term Iran-backed? What does that mean? Why don't they say that Israel is U.S.-backed? That France is a proxy state of the United States? That the UK is U.S.-linked? Germany had all their balls removed There is no sovereignty in Germany no more. They went to the ICJ like sniveling little weasels sucking up to the Zionist lobby because they're afraid of being called anti-Semitic because they support the Nazi party. Their grandparents supported the Nazi party. So now they got to overcompensate and support another genocide because their grandparents had the most crazy political movement that we've seen in the modern era. So because their grandparents in Germany fucked up, now they got to support genocide. So why, when we talk about Germany, why don't we call them U.S. backed? Why don't we just steal and humiliate their sovereignty? It's the Ansar Allah. They control Yemen. They control the capital. You are not telling the truth because you know you're in the wrong. Why do they have to mislead people on this? Because if they know that we was labeling a country stand up to genocide, a legitimate government, the Ansar Allah government of Yemen, who's providing aid and is supported by the majority of the Yemeni people, then people will realize how that's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, let me continue because there's gonna be a lot to say. Because there's another segment I want to get to. I want to get to Mike Pompeo, someone who Trump hired, and I think they're still friendly. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. They're still friendly. And Mike Pompeo talks about this issue later and sounds just as psychopathic as you could imagine.
The full FTO designation, rather something to a lesser degree. Now, one of those options is the specially designated global terror list. It has enforcement teeth like an FTO under international law. It was used in the wake of 9/11 by the Bush administration because it can be applied very swiftly, but it can also be lifted quickly. For instance, if the Houthis were to stop their attacks in those shipping lanes in the Red Sea. Meanwhile, as Defense Secretary Austin settles into working from home after being released from that 2-week hospital stay, Fox News has obtained that audio of the January 1st 911 call requesting an ambulance for the secretary made by an unidentified aide, requesting a low-key approach be taken.
Fairfax County 911, where is your emergency?
I'm going to skip this part because they get into some more Lloyd Austin. I'm going to show you guys the Mike Pompeo. And the mainstream media is also telling this lie, and they cover this later in this segment, where they're pretending that, oh, well, this terrorist designation is going to take about 30 days to implement because they need some time to send the aid to the people who need it. We're going to have targeted sanctions put on the Ansar Allah, and we're going to still provide aid to the Yemeni people. This idea is a lie, guys. When they do this, when they put Yemen on a terrorist list, their whole country, that makes it so humanitarian organizations who want to provide aid to their people in the capital, 80% of the population, will not be able to do so. And so when they pretend that this is going to hurt the Ansar Allah, they are lying. When they say these increased sanctions they were putting on Ansar Allah is going to hurt them, let me ask you guys this question. Do the Ansar Allah have a stock portfolio on the New York Exchange? Do you think the Ansar Allah has a bank account in New York? No, the Ansar Allah in Yemen has been divested from the centralized sanction system, and this is another reason why sanctions are dying. A lot of countries had divested and stopped, and it prevented the impact that it had on them. So the average person will be hurt in Yemen, but the Ansar Allah, they don't have money that's really in our financial system. So these sanctions are not to hurt them, it's going to hurt the average Yemeni people. But they are not going to tell you this. I'm going to continue with Mike Pompeo. You're going to hear his unhinged take on this conversation.
And tonight, a violent and chaotic situation in the Middle East continues to get worse. 2 Navy SEALs are missing tonight after taking part in what was a critical mission to intercept a shipment of Iranian missiles headed for Yemen. Now, search and rescue operations are underway in the Gulf of Aden. Now, meanwhile, Yemen's Houthi rebels, they continue their attacks in the Red Sea, even striking an American cargo ship yesterday with a ballistic missile.
You see how they got called me Houthi rebels, Iran back. I just want you guys to ask yourself this question when you watch this. Why can't they tell the truth? Why can't you guys just accurately describe the situation? These are the Yemen control the government, and we are opposed to them for these reasons. They can't. The reason why they had to lie because the truth is not on their side. That's why Zionists lie so much.
And now, finally, Biden is planning to once again redesignate the Houthis as a terrorist organization. Remember, he very generously removed the terror label.
Also, you're going to see them talk about the cope of these people these Navy SEALs gone missing. There are people gone missing. They sent Navy SEALs to intercept weapons sent from Iran to the Ansar Allah, and they got. What did the Ansar Allah tell you, dumbasses? The Ansar Allah told your dumbasses that if you come over here to the Red Sea, we're going to turn it to a graveyard.